All right, thanks, guys. The Vikings take on the Rams, 8:20 East in Los Angeles. The Rams are the 6.5-point favorites in this one. Total open 47.5 up to 49. Total shaded toward the over in the early going here. No movement on the spread as of yet. I'm expecting the Rams to take most of the early money in this one. Don't be surprised if you see this one get to Rams -7 at some point today and tomorrow. But if you like LA to get the job done, I think you may want to act now, because that dismal performance by the Vikings yesterday, losing to the Bills, is still fresh in the minds of the square better. And if you like the Vikings to get the job done, I mean, you got to admit, they're still a pretty good football team. And if, you probably will be in a very good spot catching nearly a touchdown with them, they're still a great team, just a little bit of a lapse there. So I also think you'll have a chance to get a better number at some point during the week with the Vikings. And as expected, on the other side, the Rams are a really good football team this year, both for their fans and their backers. 3-0 straight up on the year, 3-0 against the spread in those ball games. And one thing to note, the Rams were favored in all of those covers. Now, folks thought maybe it was a too good to be true situation when they covered against the winless Raiders and Cardinals in both weeks 1 and 2. But yesterday, they got the job done against a very good Chargers team as well. -7 was the number yesterday, and they won 35-23. They were laying 12 in week 2 and beat Arizona 34-0. And in the opener against the Raiders, they were -6 and got the job done 33-13. So once again, that's going to put them at 3-0 ATS for the year, 2-0 covering at home, 3-0 against the spread as the favorite. And if you need any more trends, the Rams thus far are 2-0 ATS in their games at the current posted total, along with being 2-0 covering as the official home favorite. Now on the Vikings side of things, real bad loss to the Bills yesterday, and they were favored by 17 points in that one. Minnesota's also 0-1 ATS away from home this season. They failed to cover the number in their last 2 straight. Once again, -17 to the Bills yesterday and -2 to the Packers last week, where the game ended in a tie. And if you're superstitious, just keep in mind that Minnesota failed to cover the point spread in 5 out of their last 6 dating back to last season. Now, total-wise, we're seeing some early money come pouring in on the over so far in the early betting. And really, if you think about it, I've got no reason to bet the under in this one. The Rams scored 35, 34, and 33 points respectively in all 3 of their games. They're averaging 34 points per contest and just about 7 yards per play from scrimmage. Meanwhile, on the Minnesota side, the total's gone over in 6 out of their last 8 away from home. And historically, between these two teams, the total's gone over in 8 out of their last 12 meetings. So with all that said and done, I'm really favoring the Rams to get the job done here. I'm going to buy the half a point in this spot. So give me the Los Angeles Rams -6 in the over, 49 points in this one. And with that said, welcome to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for our NFL Week 4 early slate of games. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you to check out my daily best play at patreon.com/BrockPage. And with a documented win percentage of 60% for the entire year of 2017, you're costing yourself valuable information each and every day you're not subscribed. Now, subscription tiers begin at just $1.99 a month. There's also plenty of free content there as well. So once again, please feel free to hit that pause button right now. Open up your browser and just quickly check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. It'll only take you a few seconds. Link is in the description section below. And if you're a current patron of mine and you're watching this program right now, I just can't thank you enough. You make it all worth it. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at our NFL Week 4 early slate of NFL games and personal leans. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Jets, Jaguars, 1 o'clock Jacksonville. And the Jags open -9, now -7.5. Totals 38. Jacksonville's the $4 favorites to win this one outright on the money line. We're seeing a good amount of New York money coming in here. Significant fate of the Jags despite holding their opponents to just 9 points yesterday. I think this one will probably close out at Jags -8. Probably your best number right now if you're leaning Jacksonville, and your worst number if you're leaning New York. But regardless, the Jags had a bit of a letdown game yesterday. they're young and immature. It happens after you beat the wheels off the Patriots the week prior. They will definitely improve and get better, in my opinion. And the one thing that remained constant in their 9-6 loss yesterday to Tennessee was that stifling defense. Yesterday's loss did drop Jacksonville down to 2-1 on the year, but the Jags are still 2-1 against the spread for the year as well. Now, big covers over the Giants and the Patriots for Jacksonville so far. This will also be Jacksonville's third straight game at home in Week 4. This will be the Jets' third game in 4 weeks on the road on their side of things. Now, the Jets lost their last 2 straight and failed to cover in those matchups as well. They lost to the Browns and the Dolphins so far in the year. Nice win in Week 1 over the Lions, 48-17. But regardless, this is a Jets team that will continue to experience some growing pains. And if you've been backing the Jets in the past couple of seasons, you're certainly less wealthy. New York's just 1-4 ATS in their last 5, dating back to last year. 3-7 ATS in their last 10, facing Jacksonville. They're also taking on a Jags team who's been covering machines themselves. 4-1 ATS in their last 5, 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 at Everbank Field. Now, scoring-wise, I'm not expecting a whole lot of it in this one. Jacksonville's D is amazing, but Bortles is looking like Bortles right now. New York's also 4-1 to the under in their last 5, 4-2 to the under in their last 6 on the road. So with all that said and done, this is going to be a great bounce-back spot for Jacksonville, in my opinion. I like them laying the points. Give me the Jacksonville Jags -7 after buying the hook, and the under 38 points in this one. Next game, Bengals-Falcons, 1 o'clock Atlanta. The Falcons were -5, now 5.5. No total posted as of yet. A little bit of money coming in on the Falcons in the early going here. Look for them to lay 6 at the worst this week. I really think this is a sharp number, and depending upon any injuries being escalated during the practice week, I really do think we'll close between 5 and 6 by Sunday. Now, the Falcons come into Week 4 at just 1-2 straight up, failing to cover 2 out of those 3. They failed to cover against the Saints and the Eagles thus far. Those were outright losses as well. Atlanta was also favored in all 3 of their losses against the spread so far. Now, Cincy, on the other hand, they're 2-1 straight up on the season, 2-1 against the spread as well. The Cincinnati Bengals have also garnered themselves marquee wins and covers over Baltimore and Indy. And oddly enough, we've seen this Cincy squad pretty much evenly matched by the odds makers so far in the season. They were -1 against Indy, +1 against Baltimore, +2.5 against Carolina, all 3 formidable opponents as well. And historically, this Cincy squad has successfully covered the spread in 4 out of their last 5, dating back to last season. And if you think traveling's an issue for Cincinnati, just keep in mind that they're 4-2 ATS in their last 6 games away from home as well. Now, total-wise, should see a lot of points in this one, since he's averaging 30 a game, 3-0 to the over thus far on the season. Their games are averaging 55 total combined points per contest. They're also giving up 26 points on defense as well. Meanwhile, on the Atlanta side of things, very similar story there, as 2 out of their last 3 got over the total as well. Their last 2 games averaged 68 total combined points per contest. This has all the makings of a shootout in the Dome. I got to think Cincy can cover in a barn burner. I'm also going to buy the hook. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals +6 and the over. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals +6 in this one. And if the total is 58 or lower, that's right, 58 points or lower when it opens, I'm going to lean toward the over in this one as well. Next game, Bills-Packers, 1 o'clock Lambeau. The Packers are -10.5. Total was 44, up to 45.5. Money's coming in on Buffalo in the over right now. Don't be surprised to see this one get down to 9.5 or 9 at some point during the week. And if you like the Bills to get the job done in this one, I'd probably act now as, like I said, there's movement toward Buffalo already. And if you like the Packers in this one, I think that really bad loss to the Redskins is still fresh in the minds of the bettors. You should see a significant fade of Green Bay, at least in the early days of the week. You'll probably get a better number than 10.5 at this juncture if you're a Green Bay backer. But regardless, we're looking at a Packers team who's 1-1-1 on the year and just 1-2 ATS on the season as well. Green Bay failed to cover against Washington and Chicago. Both games they were favored in laying points. And their lone successful cover came in the form of a 29-29 tie with the Vikings, onto which half the public had them catching points and the other half had them laying points. A lot of movement, a lot of flipping of the lines in that one. So for some folks, this Packers squad is actually 0-3 covering thus far in the season. Now on the Buffalo side, I wouldn't quite say they've been tearing it up either, but they did have a quality win and cover yesterday over Minnesota, onto which they were the 17-point underdogs. That's a college football spread. Not only did they cover, but they won outright by a thorough margin of 27-6 on the road. And if you're into historical numbers, this Buffalo squad is 4-2 ATS in their last 6 games on the road, dating back to last season. Now, historically, on the Green Bay side, they're just 1-5 ATS on their side of things themselves. They've also failed to cover the spread in 5 out of their last 7 at Lambeau. And when it comes to facing the Bills, Green Bay's failed to cover in 7 out of their last 9. Now, total-wise, Buffalo's 2-1 to the over thus far in the season. Green Bay's 3-0 to the over themselves. The total's also gone over in 9 out of Green Bay's last 13 at home. So with all that said and done, I got to imagine Buffalo can keep it close with Green Bay's recent struggles against the number, struggles against injuries, and struggles against the officiating. I'm going to go ahead and buy the hook, move it to 11, and take the Buffalo Bills plus 11, getting the job done against the number in this one. All right, I'm also going to take the over in that one as well. All right, Buccaneers-Bears, 1 o'clock Chicago. The Bears are the 2.5-point favorites. No total posted as of yet. Chicago comes in 2-1 on the year, just 1-score victories in their pair of wins. A win's still a win in this league, though. The Bears did fail to get the job done over the Packers in Week 1 on an Aaron Rodgers playing with one leg comeback. Khalil Mack had one of the best games out of a DN in the history of the league, and they still couldn't get the job done. Big blown second half lead against the Packers in that one. Complete choke job by Chicago. And I'll tell you what, Mitchell Trubisky, he looks awful. The play calling after the first 15 or so scripted plays, they're very vanilla afterwards. And I have concerns about Chicago moving the football in the later minutes of the game. Now, Tampa on the other side, these guys have been unreal. 2-0 on the year, 2-0 ATS, big covers and outright wins over the Saints and the Eagles. And if you're superstitious, the Bucs were the underdogs in those games catching the points. They're catching points once again in this one. That's why I think it's important to get those bets in early if you like Tampa this week. Now, Tampa scored a ton of points in Week 1 and 2. They're averaging 38 a game and 405 a game through the air. And contingent on if Fitzpatrick stays healthy through tonight's Monday night game, I think we'll see some more of the same next Sunday. Now, total-wise, Tampa's 2-0 to the over, 2-0 to the over as the dog as well. Meanwhile, Chicago's been getting help by their defense and special teams winning the field position battle. That's going to help their offense score points. That is what's helping them average 21 points per game through 3 weeks. So with all that said and done, this one, if this one stays under, it will be because of that aggressive Bears D-line getting to Fitzpatrick. Ryan did torch the Eagles, who have one of the best D-lines in the league. I think this one can still get over the total. So I'm going to purchase the hook, buy it up, and take Tampa Bay +3, hoping that Fitzpatrick stays healthy through tonight's Monday night contest with Pittsburgh. And if the total opens at 56 points or lower, yes, I said 56 points or lower, I'm going to lean toward the over in this matchup as well. All right, next game, Eagles-Titans, 1 o'clock Tennessee. The Eagles are -3, totals 42. The Eagles come in 2-1 on the season, got their QB back in the mix. Big wins over Atlanta and the Colts on the year as well. The Birds have also gone 13-6 ATS against the spread in their last 19 ball games, covering machines over the past couple of seasons. Meanwhile, on the Tennessee side, boy, do they win ugly. And if you pay attention to point differential, this is the same song and dance as last year. These guys win ugly and lose thoroughly. They're actually 1 under in the point differential for the year already. That said, though, the only thing that matters in this league is winning. The only thing that matters is wins. These guys are 2-1 on the year. Both victories coming by 3-point margins. The big factor is if Mariota is healthy enough to play Sunday. Only time will tell. The Eagles are averaging 20 points of scoring per game. Tennessee's averaging just 16. Philly's also played pretty good on the road as of late in the past couple of seasons. 6-2 in their last 8 away from home. Carson proved yesterday he feels good, can still evade defenders and extend plays. New roughing the passer rules make it tough to tee off on him as well. I think Carson's really protected and will have enough time to find mismatches with Ertz and Goddard. Should be an ugly, gritty, sloppy game. Tennessee's 4-2 to the under in their last 6, 2-1 to the under on the year. Philly's also 2-1 to the under on the year on their side of things as well. I really like the Eagles and the under in this spot here. So all said and done, I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles -3 and the under 42 points in this one. Next game, Dolphins, Patriots, 1 o'clock New England. The Pats were -7.5 down to 7. No total posted as of yet. The Pats are just 1-2 on the season, 1-2 ATS on the year as well. That said, though, they've historically done well both outright and against the spread in Gillette Stadium. 7-2 ATS in their last 9 at home, 8-1 straight up in those 9 as well. They've also played Miami exceptionally well in the past decade. 5-2 ATS in their last 7 against the Fins. 12-4 straight up in their last 16 against the Dolphins as well. And when it comes to playing in Foxborough, Miami just hasn't been able to get the job done. 0-5 ATS in their last 5 matchups in New England. Now, not for nothing, this Miami team has looked really good this season. Don't get me wrong. I know that. I get that. And I've been able to tell them for some quality wins earlier in the season as well. They're one of the few undefeated teams in the league right now. 3-0 straight up, 3-0 ATS in those 3. 2 of those 3 wins, however, came in the friendly confines of South Beach, and their lone win on the road came against the struggling New York Jets. Now, Miami's also struggled to cover away from home in recent years. 1-5 ATS in their last 6 away from home. 0-5 straight up in their last 5 in New England. So although they look pretty good right now, their opponents have been beaten. The opponents they have beaten have only 3 wins combined between the 3 of them. Just 3-6 record combined amongst those opponents. So anyway, scoring-wise, we really haven't seen much of it out of New England this year. That said, though, we kind of go through the same thing with the Patriots every year, where they start out slow, look like a completely different team, get whooped a couple times, then turn it on. And I've got to believe this will be the week they start to take form. I do like a slugfest in this one. Miami's also 2-1 to the over in their 3 games on the season. The total's also gone over in 4 out of Miami's last 6 on the road. So with all that said and done, I'm going to lean toward the Patriots in this one. Give me New England -7 in the over. Whenever it comes out, if it's 48 points or lower, I'm going to lean toward the over in this one. All right, excuse me, I'm sick. Next game, Lions, Cowboys, 1 o'clock Dallas. The Cowboys are -3.5, no total as of yet. I think we'll probably see public money come in on the Lions here in the early going. Dallas playing very poorly yesterday, losing to the Seahawks. Meanwhile, the Lions are coming fresh off an upset of the Patriots. If you like the Cowboys in this one, I'd probably wait it out a little bit. I think you'll probably get this number at 2.5 at some point during the week. And if you like the Lions in this one, you may want to think about a money line play, catching some plus money. But regardless, both teams have shown shades of greatness this season, but more so shades of misery. Now, both squads come into Sunday's matchup at 1-2 straight up, but this Cowboys squad has really had a tough time covering the number. They failed to cover in 2 of those 3 matchups. They failed to cover in a 16-8 loss to Carolina in Week 1, where they were +3. They also failed to cover against Seattle yesterday, where it was nearly a pick'em spot for most bettors. Now, for the record, their lone winning cover did come in Week 2, but it came at the expense of the New York Giants, who hadn't gotten real familiar with the end zone in Week 2 yet. Now, on the Detroit side of things, they've covered in their last 2 straight, 2-0 ATS in their last couple of games, 2-1 ATS for the year. They have marquee covers over some really good teams, +6 at San Francisco and +6.5 at home against New England. Both covers obviously came as the underdog catching points. They're also dominating in passing yards, 315 through the air on average per game. Meanwhile, this Dallas defense allowed 24 points to the anemic offense of Seattle on Sunday. Detroit averages 22 points a game. Dallas averages 13. I think the Lions should be able to keep it at least close. And if you're into historical trends, the Lions are 5-2 ATS in their last 7 ball games, dating back to last season. Now, total-wise, I've been doing quite well fading the over in these Dallas games thus far in the season. The Cowboys are 3-0 to the under thus far in the year. Meanwhile, Detroit held Tom Brady to just 10 points of scoring in their last contest yesterday. They kept him off the field with very slow, methodical drives. So I'm going to tend to think this one's going to stay under whenever that line comes out. So all said and done, I'm going to purchase the hook and ride with the underdog Lions +4, getting the job done in this one. And unless the total's released at an egregiously low number, I'm going to lean toward the under in this game as well. 38 points will be the tipping point. If the over-under opens up at 38 points or higher, I'm going to go ahead and take the under in this one. All right, folks, next and final game for the show, it is going to be Texans, Colts, 1 o'clock, Indianapolis. The Colts were -1.5, now laying 2.5. Total was 47, up to 47.5 already. Indy is also the $1.35 favorite on the money line if you're looking to play this one straight up. Now, we are seeing the Colts taking money in the early going here in most markets. I wouldn't be surprised to see them close at 3.5 at most shops. But regardless, if you like Indy to get the job done here, I think you're only just going to lose value on the spread. I'd probably act now because I do not foresee this one getting back to that 1.5 number by the closing bell, unless luck gets hurt in practice. And if you're really liking the Texans in this one, I only think your number's going to improve at this point. Wait it out a little bit and see them probably catching 3 at some point during the week. But regardless, the Texans have been terrible for both their fans and their backers thus far. 0-3 straight up for the year, 0-3 against the spread as well. Houston failed to cover against the Giants, Titans, and New England. 2 of those games, they were actually favored. The Texans are 0-2 against the spread on the road this year and are 0-5 against the spread dating back to last season. And despite having a different quarterback and personnel last season, this Texan squad historically has gone 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 away from home. They're taking on an Indy squad who really played tough. They played well against the world champions yesterday. And despite their 1-2 record straight up for the year, they've successfully covered the number in 2 out of those 3 ball games. And in recent years, the Colts have had their way with Houston, 9-2 ATS in their last 11 versus Houston, 6-2 ATS in their last 8 against Houston at home. The Colts have also won 8 out of their last 11 matchups straight up with the Texans. Now, total-wise, we haven't seen a ton of it in both teams' games. Houston's 2-1 to the under in their 3 contests. Indy's 2-1 to the under as well. The Texans are also 2-0 to the under away from home, while Indy's gone 2-1 to the under in their games at the current posted total. Wow, that was a long sentence. Anyway, with all that said and done, and with Bill O'Brien on the hot seat according to some sources, I really think this game tends to favor Indy backers. I'm going to buy the hook, move it down, and take the Indianapolis Colts -2 in the under, 47.5 in this one. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me. But before I get out of here, I just have to remind you to check out my daily best play at patreon.com/BrockPage. And with a documented win percentage of 60% for the entire year of 2017, you're costing yourself valuable information each and every day you're not subscribed. Packages begin at just $1.99 a month. There's also plenty of free content there as well. So once again, please feel free to hit that pause button right now. Open up your browser and just quickly check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. It'll only take a few seconds. The link is in the description section below. And if you're a current patron of mine and you're watching this program right now, I just can't thank you enough. You make it all worth it. Send me some NyQuil because I'm dying here. All right, folks. Thank you for watching today's program. I hope you enjoyed all this great free information. And please don't forget to check out my daily best play at patreon.com/ProcPage.